talk, who couldn't hear. That was hurtful. And for him to say, I don't know how to take care of a special needs child.
There are only two L's I take in life: losses or lessons. You learn it from both. You learn from a loss, and then a lesson is automatic. And that's what I'm teaching these kids, so that they understand. You lose friends, you learn something.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Growth Motivator Live with me, your host, Dr. Lisa L. Campbell, the Growth Motivator. I am joined today by a high school classmate. Yeah, we're a little older now, but today we're going to be talking about finding purpose and passion in work and life. And let me just give you a fair warning. If you have a young male in your viewing area, pause and bring them in the room. We are going to have some authentic conversations about life, learning, growing. So, Mr. Kenneth Abrams, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
So, we went to Finger High School back in the, 80s and 90s. We came out early 90, and life was it was a little different back then. I met and married my high school sweetheart way after high school. But I think back on my experience as a girl in high school, and I don't really remember a lot of things. When Paul and I talk about some of the things that he experienced, I didn't experience. I had one situation where these girls surrounded me and was going to try to beat me up because I had on my daughter's father necklace. It had a little symbol on it, and they surrounded me, but somehow my girl Janita and somebody else was there, and so it didn't happen. But I know as a young boy growing up at Finger, life was a little different for you. So give us a little snippet about how life was. And again, I want you to keep it real, because I want you to help the young men, the mothers who are trying to father a young boy by themselves, to understand that there's a journey, but you got to make some detours to get there. So tell us about your early years.
Growing up in Roseland, the Wild Hundreds, as we all know
Wow.
it, and I would say going to Finger was adventurous.
Wait a minute, was that before we had Cole's campus or after? Because remember, at some point, we didn't. You used to be able to leave out and go to lunch, because I went to the Red Hot to get the French fries.
Oh, we had open campus. I graduated in '89, so.
Oh, it was before us. Okay, so you was open the whole time.
And so there were obstacles you had to navigate through. Certain people you had to know. I was a shy, nerdy kid.
No.
Yeah. I know that's hard to believe, but yeah, I was into the chorus, music.
Music? You can sing?
I used to sing. Evelyn and Enoch McCoy. I used to hear them sing. Enoch played the piano, so I would watch him at times too, and Evelyn, Jackie, and all the boy sisters. Well, everybody know they can blow, and I was amazed by that. So I would start singing in the lunchroom and doing my poetry, and it was met with some resistance from other guys, because they felt I was getting a little popular with the ladies that way, and I would get bullied.
Really? You know, Paul talks a lot about some of the challenges that he had. Number one, both of our families went to Finger. My family went to Finger when it was all white, when they started freshman year on the first floor of Curtis, before they actually came over. But he talks a lot about the things that he experienced in high school. You know, you had Mr. Witt, you had Smiley, you had all those people who were kind of, what's the word that your father's supposed to do?
Just be a father.
Discipline,
figure.
right? Be a father figure.
That
discipline.
Mr.
Yes,
Witt
Mr. Witt,
was
sir.
Good, was good for that. He was good for that.
But I didn't experience that. And I think part of it was because I was the oldest child. My mother made me stay in the house. And honestly, when I got 16, I started working. I didn't look back. I wasn't trying to be at school. I was trying to work. So how was it for you as a young boy? So tell us about the bullying.
The bullying, gang members, just people. I was a little guy too. I didn't have a growth spurt until my junior years. I was talking with Paul, and it was heart wrenching. Like some of those things I couldn't explain to my father. I just never said anything. And when I finally told him, it was the end of my sophomore year, and he toughened me up. But I came back that junior year like with a vengeance. And I was just talking with Paul, saying I was fighting. I think the first 2 weeks I got there, my junior year, I was suspended.
You had all that pent up energy, huh? All that anger.
And it's like every person that bullied me, and I told my parents I was on a mission, told my little brother I was on a mission. Everybody who did something to me was going to have payback, and I'm glad that most of those guys, we got past all that, of course, when we got older, but I gained a little bit more respect. Then I was tough because I could fight. So that right there, I have to say that my father gave me a lot of ethics, morals, and I know that's unfortunate for most of our youth today, but there are men out there that still carry those old school values, those old school morals, and they just have to reach out.
Y'all got to reach out. I mean, because think about how many young men are growing up without a father in the household, without a grandfather, without an uncle. The streets become their family.
Yes, that's exactly what happened to me. So my father was there, but he wasn't there. And this is my perception of him. But he taught me how to work. He taught me how to raise a family. But he wasn't a nurturer. And my mother did her best to nurture us, as all mothers do. And I did turn to the streets, who, again, gave me lessons that I learned to navigate through life in another way. And it was, that was hard. I didn't find out years later how hard it was on my father until, I was already in my 40s. And me and him sat down and had a conversation in Alabama, and I'll never forget this conversation. He was like, how did you think that made me feel as a man, knowing that you couldn't talk to me, knowing that you had all this pent up anger, frustration, all these overflow of emotions, and you can talk to me, your father. See, I ran to my mother about everything, and me and her are still close to this day because I still tell her everything, and I'm 50, So that's why I do what I do.
And what do you do?
I am a therapist for a Black-owned agency in Indiana. I've been doing this work in social services and mental health since about 2006. Just talking to kids. I'll pull a kid to the side and give them the advice that was given to me. And I have changed some lives. I've lost some lives. But it's still a reason for me to go out there and continue doing what I'm doing. You don't get no accolades for it most times. Thank you or any of those things, but you know in your heart that's what you've been here to do. I've done a lot of things in my life, and the only thing that I've been good at is giving advice. So that's the route that the Most High wanted me to go in. So that's why I'm here.
So, thank you for that. So, if you could look into the camera and tell a young boy, and unfortunately, it's getting younger. I watch the news a lot, 4, 5, 6, 10, and every time I see a smash and grab, an armed robbery, I'm holding my breath to see, honestly, what color they are. And a lot of times, and let me say something that I know to be true. The media shows us what they want us to show, because I'm pretty sure that it's not just us with the smash and grabs and all of that. But if you could give a piece of advice to a young boy, because their mother probably going to be the one that's going to show it to them, but what would you say to them to help them get back on track, and why is that so important for their future? Because I think many of them don't think that life is worth living. They can't, because why would you steal a car, then drive the car into a building and take all this stuff out? I'm no lawyer, but that's got to be one count after the other. So what would you say to that young boy if you had the opportunity to help him turn the corner to go down a different path?
I would say have a spiritual background. And I would also say, as you said, seek out, or we seek them, but pull our coattails. If you see somebody that can be a mentor, then you ask them questions. I have plenty of kids that will ask me a question that will open up a whole dialogue, and in ways we can help these young people. And oh my goodness,
I know your heart has to hurt. I'm actually just tearing up thinking about, I'm a boy mother, a mother of a boy, not biologically, but by marriage, but he's still my son. I think about watching the news and him being out with his car driving, and is he going to get pulled over? Because he's a soft, gentle soul. And honestly, when he went to the Air Force, I was like, okay, he a little safer, because you're not safe anywhere, but I felt like he was a little safer. But now we got grandsons. What is this world gonna consist of for them? What can we do to help their parents, help them navigate life? Because no mother, father wants to get the phone call that says that their child is no longer here. So every time I think about it, it just makes me a little teary-eyed, because that's the world we're living in, and I don't see a shift in sight. I feel like until it hits the right household, nothing is going to change. And it's not one of our households, unfortunately.
that with these kids of today, the way that they express to me how they don't see tomorrow is very heartbreaking. You can see it in their eyes that they don't have no hope. It's not in their households. They're being labeled stupid, dumb, all of these names that they're being called, and they're really taking hold of that internally and believing those things that are said about them. So with the parents, and I've learned this in my experiences, parenting doesn't come with a manuscript.
Woo! Say it again for the people in the cheap seats.
So parenting
No
does
user's
not
manual.
come. They doesn't. And you learn as you go. But you can't ask for help. You know, I do parenting assessments and parenting classes, and a parent told me, well, how do you know how to raise a child when you have none? So I have a lot. I have a lot of kids I've raised. And
You don't got to give birth to them.
Absolutely. And I learned as I went, and they can too. So when I say, hey, you know, parent, you can get help, they say that we're calling them bad parents. I said, no, your parenting style may not be effective to this particular child. I have several siblings, and each one of us have a different perspective of growing up, and we were handled a different way. I was emotional, so my mother handled me in a different way. But I was also hard-headed, so my father handled me a different way. And it's common in these households that a parent wants to have a one fits all. You cannot do that. Also, when there's single mothers in the home, they want to overcompensate at times.
You cannot be the man.
You cannot. I was just having a conversation with a colleague the other day, and I said, well, single women, you can raise your boy into a man, but you can't show him how to be a man.
Because you're not one.
Absolutely.
And you know what? I have to be honest. I had some resentment about being a single mother earlier in my motherhood journey, where I would tell myself, Happy Father's Day, because I was the mother and the father. And I know that is a thorn in most men's side because I wasn't the mother. But I felt that way because I was struggling. I was you talk about kids don't come with a user's manual. I was a parent of a special needs daughter who couldn't talk, who couldn't hear. That was hurtful. And for him to say, I don't know how to take care of a special needs child. Newsflash, neither did I. And it wasn't really until Paul and I reconnected that I felt like that I know that Jasmine has a father because he treats her just like one of his own. We keep her hair cut short, so he cuts her hair, right? He does all the things that a father who donated the sperm does without actually being her biological father. And I believe that she believes that he's her father.
That's a blessing.
It is. It is a blessing.
And there are plenty men out there that is like that. That will come into a child's life as if they're their own and raise them accordingly. And that's what we need with more of these young men and ladies.
Because they need help too.
Because I've had situations where women would be like, you don't know what girls go through. No, I don't know everything that a girl goes through when transitioning to a woman, but I have insight.
You know some of the things. Because listen, right now, right as we speak, Paul is going through menopause with me. Because sometimes I want the air on, sometimes I want the heat on, sometimes I want them both on at the same time. So you don't necessarily have to go through the thing personally to have some insight, some empathy for the situation. So and you've dated women, right? So you know some things we go through. How we look, how we smell, when we smell good, when we don't smell good, right? The real stuff that people don't want to talk about, but it's the truth.
And I've grown up to be a very honest person. If you do not want to hear the truth, please don't ask me. Because I was raised by my mom to be honest. So you can't come to me and say, does this dress make me look fat? Because I'm going to tell you.
Well, now listen, I'm going to need you to help your brother out on that because he just won't answer until I just poke the bear for him to answer. But I think as we mature, we've been reconnected since 2008. So since we mature in our relationship, I think he gets more comfortable saying, nah, babe, that don't fit. Nah, babe, you look like you got a little thing down at the bottom. Babe, nah, that don't look right.
And that can be looked at as a good thing. To people that are insecure or self-conscious, then it's like, oh, you're downing me, you're belittling me. But no, I would want someone to be honest with me. If I'm wearing a shirt that makes me look 9 months pregnant, then I want you to tell me. I don't want to go out there looking a hot mess because especially if I'm with a significant other, we represent each other.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that level of understanding comes with maturity. I know before we went on the air, we talked about how, we are all continuing to grow, but some people we grew up with are still stuck
Oh,
in the
yes.
80s and the 90s. And it's unfortunate because this world has so much to offer, but you got
It
to
does.
keep growing. You got to learn and grow to get there.
It does. And I was just heartbreaking when me and Paul was talking about it, and it was such a shame that we were both saying that, and it was like, but they chose not to grow and elevate,
Or maybe they
and
allowed their circumstances to control them.
that's a possibility as well. I, for one, could not let my circumstances control me because I knew I had something to offer, and I went after the means in order to do that. And but some people, they got, it's about getting comfortable. You have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Absolutely.
And to a lot of people, those are the things that hurt. But those are the things that are worthwhile. And everything that you work for is worthwhile. So, with most of these children making mistakes now, they commit these crimes, and surely they should be reprimanded for those crimes. But there's some kids out there that just follow the leader, and they get caught in a certain situation and things of that nature, and they have to understand that it is okay to make a mistake.
We all made mistakes.
And we
Some which we
continue
gonna
to,
take to the grave.
yeah, and some that we're still making. It, as long as you are able to get up that next morning with the Most High's help, you're gonna make a mistake. Now, a couple of mistakes, that's just what they are. If it gets more than that, it becomes a pattern, a habit. Easy to get into, but harder to break. And that's what these kids need to understand.
Absolutely.
And to listen to their inner voice. Listen to their inner voice. And that, of course, to me is the conversation with your subconscious. And like, hey, I know that's wrong. And at that point, you have what they say, the 5-second rule applies. Hey, you got 5 seconds to think about what you're gonna do and the consequences behind that. All in that 5 seconds, but when you're thinking, that 5 seconds slows down enough for you to understand, hey, if I rob this person and get caught, I'm going to jail. Or I may lose my life.
Because people are fighting back. It's the reality, and I hate when I see on TV that sometimes a parent will say, "But my boy was a good boy,"
Oh Lord.
and I'm just like, if you are conscious enough to make a decision that you are going to A, steal a car, then you are going to B, take that car and drive it into the business, and then C, take the items out of the business. Wait, then there's a D, because then they're going to try to sell it. Not try to sell it, they're going to be successful at selling it. So if you're old enough, conscious enough to make those decisions, something has to happen to help you navigate what happens next. And I think a lot of the kids are like, well, I'm a juvenile, so I'm not going to really be getting in trouble. And when I turn 18, it can be all washed away like the rain that's happening right now.
We were told that. we were told that, and depending on certain jobs and careers you want to take, oh no, that juvenile record will follow you. It's poor. I want to say poor parenting. That's exactly what I'm going to say. Poor parenting and misinformation that we hear from different sources, including social media.
Oh, yeah.
Now for this generation, and it's like, do your own research. Google is there for a reason, not just to play on your phone. And everything is out there so much that all you have to do is get the information with the click of a button. so you can do your own research and gain your own knowledge. You don't have to take the word of what you hear. You see for yourself. With the kids and the parents and the, like you said, my boy or my girl was a good boy or girl. Parents know their kids. No matter how much they sneak around or think they slick. My mother was like, "We did that before. We did that before."
You think you invented that?
Right. And it's like an old saying they used to say, "We're going to give you enough rope to hang yourself." Which is prevalent now in this social media time, because I swear to God, these young men and women are telling on themselves so
They
much.
they live streaming the event.
And it's overwhelming because it's like audio and video.
The microphone is hot. The camera is hot, and it's getting it all.
Nails in the coffin. And the best thing is to, if you know it's wrong, don't do it.
Walk away.
Oh, that's it. That's it. There's nothing in this world that will make me do something to jeopardize my life or my family's life. There's nothing. And I had a conversation where these young men, I did a mentoring group, and these young men actually said, "I will never snitch, tell on my friends. No, we love the gang and this and this and that. But when you get locked up, or worse, where are they? Yeah, they'll remember you for a few.
Put
And
some
then-
money on your books.
And sometimes not even that. Once you get locked behind them doors, I know some people didn't get money on any books. And you find out who your family really is when stuff like that happens. And that possibly could be somebody's wake-up call. Sometimes I think jail is necessary for you to be forced to have that wake-up call. And then you have an opportunity. Am I going to still be stuck? Or am I going to elevate? And once you elevate and get up out that situation, then you can be like, I'm going to yank another kid. And then it's a reach one, teach one. And that's the concept that I have. Again, like I said, I'll lose some that doesn't want to grow, and that's fine. So in that time that you do want to elevate, I just pray that somebody is there to help you get back up. Not catch you when you fall, because you need to fall.
Absolutely.
You need to fall, but you can have somebody to help you get back up. Now, I used to say, "Oh, I want somebody to catch me when I'm falling." No, you need to fall. You need to fall hard, and then you need to get up. And if you can get up on your own, that's fine. Get somebody to help you walk, to help you run, or you get somebody to help you up and help you navigate to being better. So it's a hard job for anybody to get through to anybody, and not just kids, adults.
Yeah.
You know, I work with adults too that's dealing with addictions and things of that nature, and that also is heartbreaking, because some of these people admit that they don't know it all now. You know, like everybody used to be like, "Man, we know this, we know that," and we figure out we don't know anything.
Not a thing.
And that's a blow to the ego
It is.
when you don't know. Like, how am I gonna? And I get those sometimes. As much as I go around helping people, I get upset and frustrated when I cannot help a person.
Because you got a heart.
And I take it home at night like, oh my God, how am I going to help this person? Or how am I going to see them through? Like, how am I going to help this mother? Most of the kids I see have single mothers. Fathers are not in their life, or they're sparingly. And then some of the men that I've talked to, I just tell them it's not about your relationship with her.
Mm-hmm.
It's about your child.
Mm.
And you have boys that you want to see as men, but you're not doing anything. And when you dig deep and you realize, hey, the old excuse is, well, my father wasn't in my life, or my grandfather wasn't in my life. Okay, that adds on to your trauma, but not your responsibility though. It doesn't stop your responsibility. Like, you never want your kids to grow up like you did.
You want them to have a better life. And you know what I like to tell when I coach women, men, I often say to them, you cannot allow your past to hold you hostage. Because if I think about the day when I took those 30 Tylenol because I was going to end my life,
Oh, wow.
and I think back to when they was pumping out my stomach with the charcoal at St. Francis Hospital in Blue Island that used to be there.
Ooh.
And then I think about the ambulance ride over to Heart Grove. I realized then I can't change the past. But what I can do is get myself prepared for the future. Mm-hmm. So I'm constantly learning faster than I'm growing. So I'm constantly reading books. You talk about Amazon packages showing up at the door. If anybody want to steal my packages, all they're going to get is a book. Because I'm constantly reading. And my reading, what I'm learning helps me, but it also allows me to help others who don't want to read. And there are so many people that need help. One of the things that I aspire to go into CPS and do growth mindset workshops where there's a schedule for the parents and there's a schedule for the kids. I went on a field trip with my niece a few months back, and I was just watching the young people. I saw, and it was a diverse group, and we were on a trip to Alabama. We went to Alabama and Atlanta.
Oh.
Martin Luther King, we walked the bridge for Selma, we saw the area, and some of the kids did not respect what our people had been through. And every chance they got, they was putting that phone up against something, trying to do a TikTok video. And I get it, that's the age that they're growing up in. But it hit me then that the parents need support, the kids need support, and it can't be a one-time thing. It has to be ongoing, where you're meeting them where they're at so you can help them get to where they're destined to be. Because many of them don't believe that they deserve more.
That part.
And they do.
That part.
We all do. This big old world has so much to offer, but many of us don't see past the 606. When we used to take our kids on vacation, not because we was rich, because yours truly worked like 5 jobs at one time, because I wanted our kids to have a better life than we had. And so when we would take trips and they would have pictures, kids would be like, oh, y'all Photoshop that into the background, into your picture, because they couldn't believe that our kids, A, got on the plane, B, had passports, and C, saw things outside of our immediate viewing lens. And so it's going to, you know that old saying, it takes a village?
Absolutely.
That concept has to come back, because if we don't catch the kids early in life, they're going to go down a path that is going to be harder to get them to come back from. My parents didn't go to college, but my aunts and uncles went to college. And after having a baby, I quickly realized that I needed to go to college, because I wasn't going to go to college because I thought I went to finger. And so, I wasn't one of the ones who they were highlighting as one of the smart people. But here it is, 2024. I'm Dr. Lisa L. Campbell for 11 years.
Come on now.
So I chose not to be a victim of back then. The past is over. Yes, a lot of things are repeating themselves. We had the pandemic, right? That's hopefully be another 100 years for something that like that happens. But I realized that I owe my family to continue to grow and learn so I can help the larger body.
Absolutely.
And it's going to take all of us.
Absolutely.
So we have been talking a lot about finding your purpose, your passion, helping with your personal life, your professional life. What does the future hold for you? What do you have planned? I know you're going to be starting the podcast, so I'm going to put that out there into the world. This video, this live streaming is going to be your accountability accountability partner. But besides the podcast, what's next?
I want to have my own practice. So that's in the works for 2024. And I have some projects that I want to put together for the young men and women that I work for, and just being happy in what I do. I want to continue being happy because I'm already happy with what I do. I just want to continue being happy with what I'm doing and just waiting for 2024 to just all these opportunities that I have. It's a lot of them, too many to list and name right now at the top of my head, but I've been working 2023 like a Hebrew slave. Now.
Listen. I listen. And it takes time to grow the vision, right? But you are mentoring everybody else, so you need that mentor, that person who has the expertise in the podcasting and all the things that you want to do, because you can benefit from, and I'm not going to call them mistakes. I feel like everything we experience in life is designed to help us grow. And if you don't experience the thing, you can't grow.
And I like that you said that. I wrote on social media once that there are only 2 L's I take in life: losses or lessons. You learn it from both. You learn from a loss, and then a lesson is automatic. And that's what I'm teaching these kids, so that they understand. You lose friends, you learn something. You get a lesson, and something happened to you, and you were able to make it through. That's a lesson, and it's okay.
It is okay.
It's okay, and
there's a blessing in the lesson.
That you went way back. You went way back to our grandmothers in church when it says a blessing and a lesson.
But it's so true. Some of those things that our grandparents said to us still carry me through to today. My grandfather, December 2023, 103.
Oh, I did not know he was 103. I knew
you saw him at the party. So December.
Right, yeah.
So he was 102 then. He will be 102. He's 102 December 2023.
Wow.
And you know what he says? Love everybody. Put God first. Everything else is gonna work itself out.
Absolutely. And that's another thing with these kids, because they say we're old. And I know when we were young. I am
not old, please.
and I understand how we viewed our parents and grandparents at the age we are now. And that's, like you said, we're not old. We're seasoned.
Yes.
But we're not old. And the kids, sometimes they be like, "You're so old." I'm like, you have to only wish that you can even make it this far.
Yes.
Which is another issue that we're having. These kids are not even seeing 18. And I'll tear up talking about that, but 18.
Yeah. I mean, 18 was easy for us.
I mean, even at 16, those that were taught to work, getting your first job, all these milestones, your driver's license. It's 20-year-old kids out here don't know how to drive. They don't know how to go to a job interview. They don't want to work. It's just so many things. And when I mention about my childhood and the milestones, and they look at me like uninterested. And I said, having a license, there's a lot of kids I know that didn't get it at 16, 17, so they got them at 2021. And I said, well, I know you're happy because for boys, that is your rites of passage to get a driver's license. And to even get your own car, that meant freedom, is what my father said. You're free to go where you want to go and things of that nature. And some of these kids just don't experience these firsts of something except for jail, and it's like more of these young kids are you're not the first to go to college, but you're the first to go to prison.
Wow.
And then they wear that as a badge of honor. And like as a parent, how could you be okay with that? And if you're not okay with that, don't internalize that, verbalize that, let them know, hey, you are a disappointment. But that means I failed as a parent if you go to jail as a kid. You failed. So now you gotta work so that you can amend those mistakes. And so your child won't see, other bad days like that. So.
Wow. Well, listen, our time is up for today. It has been such an honor to have this conversation with you. It's my prayer that lives can be changed. It's hurtful to see that the only pipeline that boys have is to prison. And that should not be the main pipeline. That should be something that they look at and say, yeah, I don't want to go down that route. My husband uses this term, 3 hots and a cot.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, first of all, let me just tell you this. Because I've spent so much time working and going to school, other than going on vacations, I am so out of touch with a lot of things that have happened in life. And so when he said 3 hots and a cot, I'm like, what is that? And so once he explained to me that it was 3 hot meals and a bed, I'm like, but you in these walls and you can't, behind this cell, and you can't get out. You don't have the freedom to walk around and go to the store. Maybe we used to go to the candy store
Absolutely.
and go to Evergreen Plaza and all these places that we had the freedom to go to. They're losing their freedom at an early age. But our forefathers fought for our freedom, and they're just giving it up.
That's a whole nother conversation.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. And
It's hurtful. It is hurtful.
I mean, yeah. And I try to explain to the children, you living in a closet. Forget all that stuff that's on social media, because now these guys got phones and they can get on camera and all those things, even in prison. But you're not understanding those consequences. You're just not, they're mostly glorifying those things.
Because it's not a hotel. You're not coming and going as you pleasing.
Absolutely not. And for someone to tell you what to do, where to go, and things like that, it's not like this is the armed services, where you have a reason for being there, a good reason, and it's a purpose. What is your purpose when you're in prison or dead? What is your purpose? You had these passions. I was good at art. Well, you can't show your art behind the walls. You can't show your cooking skills behind the wall, except that even on the videos. But it's like, think about what you could have offered the world.
They have so many talents and gifts. So many. Larry from Larry's Barber College, he has a barber school inside of the prison. He's had it for years.
I did not know that.
Yes.
Larry's Barber's on Halstead?
Yes.
I did not know he had one in prison. Wow.
Yes, he has a barber school in the prison because it has been his mission to help these young men and young women turn their lives around by giving them a skill that when they get out on the other side, they don't experience a lot of barriers, right? Because you're not having to go through background checks and all these different things to cut somebody's hair. And they are so talented. If you can hook up all these schemes to be a bad actor, you can hook up a scheme to be a good actor.
Absolutely.
And it's going to pay more. It's going to have some risks, but the benefits outweigh the risk.
Absolutely.
Well, listen, we are out of town. It is out of time. It has been amazing chatting with you today. I wish you the best of luck in your podcast. You see, I said it again. Podcast and all the things that you're going to do to help people, because people need help for us to be able to sustain our race, our future. You know, Whitney Houston said, "I believe the children are our future. Teach them and let them find their way." They've lost their way.
Oh, yes, indeed.
They need it back.
I don't know if they're gonna be our future unless we step in and help them out. Yeah.
Absolutely. With that, this has been another episode of the Growth Motivator Live, where we focused on finding your purpose and your passion for personal growth. Until next time.